Evening and welcome to the Scarborough Board of Education meeting. The date is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ray, would you call the attendance, please?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs is absent.
She's absent.
Mr. Kelleher is absent.
He's excused.
Excused.
Yeah.
Ms. Lindstrom,
Here.
Ms. Mauer.
Here.
Mr. Rockenstein.
Here.
Ms. Tarpinian,
Here.
Mr. Peony Huff.
Here.
Ms. Ruskina is
She's
excused.
excused.
And Ms. Claret.
Here. All right, thank you so much. Agenda item 2.4 is the approval of the April 30th, 2026 workshop and business meeting minutes. So if there are no objections, we will approve them as presented. Thank you. Agenda item 3.0 are adjustments. I do have one adjustment to the agenda. Agenda item 5.2, the 2026 graduating student representative presentation. Abby is not with us tonight because she has a track meet. And so we'll just move this to the next meeting when she can be here to hear what we would, us thanking her. All right. Are there any other adjustments?
No.
All right. Agenda item 4.0 is recognition. 4.1 is the Staff Spotlight Award. Jillian, is this for you and Cressy?
Yes. All right. All right. So we are so excited to announce the May Spotlight Award winner. And she is here with us tonight. I believe there she is. All right. Go ahead. If you want to, can you advance it? Jory Casper. Jory was nominated by Christopher Rowley. And there was a lot of really great feedback about the service that we got from Mr. Rowley. He said, I see Jory as someone in our school who initiates everything that happens. The everyday behind the scenes tasks that need to happen for each day to run smoothly, she's involved. All the fun things that happen for our staff and students, that is extra work on top of her daily responsibilities, she has something to do with it. She does all of this with a personality and a sense of humor that I find enjoyable. Jory's contributions make a meaningful impact every day, and it's clear that those around her feel fortunate to work alongside her. Thank you, Jory, for all the support for both the students and the program. Your hard work and commitment truly stand out. And then we have a video to play.
Hi, everybody. I am here to share why I have nominated Jory Casper as our Scarborough Staff Spotlight of the Month. And it's not just this month. She's great. She's great all the time. There isn't a question I don't think Jory doesn't know the answer to. I go to her for a ton of help. And if she doesn't know the answer to questions, she always points me in the right direction. She may work in the front office, but she has a role in, it seems that she has a role in everything going on at Scarborough Middle School. Beyond how much she does for the school and for the staff and for the students, I appreciate Jory for being consistently herself. She's easy to talk to. She's fun. She goes above and beyond when she's by organizing activities for the staff to participate in, little extra fun little Super Bowl activities. Hide the Grinch during the holiday season gets pretty intense with us. But thank you, Jory, for everything you do, and I hope that you appreciate this recognition that you well deserve.
All right, and Kathy's going to come up and say something as well.
Yeah, thank you. I will say, I don't know what I'd do without Jory's support. In the morning, Jory's there at 7 o'clock in the morning to help me with our coverage for the day. So we are, problem solving, figuring it out. If anything comes up in the day with that, Jory's on it. She also is on my lunch duty with me, but is always willing to help out during those lunches and help, monitor and with our movement breaks. And as Chris mentioned, all of the culture she builds with, what was it? The potluck that you helped organize that we had for lunch. And you're like one of my right-hand people, so thank you.
Would you mind coming up for a minute?
Congratulations. All right, agenda item 5.0 is presentations. 5.1 is the 2026 Scarborough Public School retirees. So for this, I'll turn it over to Diane, and Freyla's going to help this year.
Great, excellent. So good evening, everyone. We're really excited to honor the class of 2026 retirees this evening. We also happened to have our annual event for all staff yesterday afternoon. So I think we're a little light on some of our retirees because perhaps they had so much fun yesterday afternoon. But in any event, we're really excited to take some time this evening to honor the commitment that the many people who are listed on this slide for the efforts that they've made at Scarborough Public Schools over the years. And so what we would like to do is I'm going to invite some of our leaders up to just talk briefly about each of the people. And I will ask Chris Rohde to kick things off for us. So Chris is going to start us off by recognizing Laurel Aubrey, who has been with Scarborough Public Schools for 38 years.
All right, so Laurel couldn't join us tonight, but yeah, Laurel's been with us for 38 years. She started off as a resource room teacher at Wentworth and did that for about 9 or 10 years and then moved into her current role, which is a psychological examiner. And Laurel earned her BS in special ed and elementary education from UMaine and Farmington, and then later on her master's in school psychology from USM. So I asked the testing office to share some thoughts about Laurel. I've spent a lot of time with her over the years as well. Fantastic person and just a great examiner who really cared about kids. So here's some of the thoughts that her colleagues wanted me to share with you tonight. So Laurel made a lasting impact on kids, families, and colleagues. She was a skilled school psychologist, dependable coworker. And for those of you who knew her, obviously always someone who brought warmth, kindness, and a steadiness to every situation. She really cared about every student that she worked with, and that was a lot of kids over the years for sure. And that care came through in the way that she really thoughtfully listened and communicated and supported families. One of Laurel's greatest strengths was certainly her empathy. She had a great ability to help families feel heard and understood, often during difficult or emotional conversations, and especially during IEP meetings, which often can be intimidating, I think, for some parents, right? And she just did a great job of making sure everybody felt welcome and really took the time to thoughtfully explain the work that she did with their kids. Her colleagues in the testing office have often joked that Laurel is the moral compass of the office. So in challenging situations, she helps others pause, think carefully, and stay focused on what is best for kids, and does this with wisdom, compassion, and with a wonderful sense of humor. So we're all grateful to Laurel for her time here in Scarborough and the chance to have worked with her and gotten to know her. And Laurel's looking forward to spending some more time with her family and traveling in retirement.
Next on the list of recognition is Beth Arsenault from the middle school. And again, I'll have Chris speak about Beth, who has been with us for 18 years.
Okay, so Beth also couldn't be here tonight, but Beth began working with us as a substitute teacher back in 2005, and then transitioned to a role as an Ed Tech 3 at the middle school. And Beth specialized in math instruction for kids in the resource room. Beth earned a BS in Child Development and Family Relations from UMaine Orono and an associate's degree in Business Administration from Thomas College. And Beth was really always been just an incredibly dedicated member of our middle school team. She is someone who always brought a deep commitment to her work each day and was focused on helping kids truly understand the math concepts that she was teaching. She didn't just simply support learning, she took the time to create resources and materials to make the material more engaging, meaningful, and accessible for the kids that she worked with. So Beth was really someone who went above and beyond every day. And when, again, I asked colleagues about Beth, one of the things they pointed out was how much she genuinely cares about her students, not just as learners, but people. She took an interest in their lives, both inside and outside of school, and really built a lot of lasting and meaningful relationship with the kids that she worked with. And Beth was always willing to jump in, help out with whatever's needed. And a couple of people mentioned that kids continue to reach out to her even after they left the middle school, right? Which is a sign of the impact that she had with them. So in retirement, Beth is looking forward to enjoying the things she likes the most: the sun, the beach, travel, and especially spending time with her grandchild. So she'll certainly be missed, but we're excited for her as she moves into retirement.
And then one more for you, Chris, Sherry Bell, who is with us this evening, who is retiring with 26 years of service.
All right, Sherry Bell, the legend. Sherry started off with us working in food service and did that for close to 17, 18, 19 years, Sherry, about that long, I think, right? And then made the switch to work in the best department in Scarborough Schools, which is the special education department. And Sherry has worked with us as an ed tech since that time. She started off as an ed tech 2 and is currently an ed tech 3 in our academic life skills program. So Sherry, one thing to know about Sherry, definitely the definition of a true lifelong learner. So during her time working with us in Scarborough, while working full-time, Sherry earned her associate's degree, then her bachelor's degree, and then went on to earn her master's degree in special education. And that is a pretty impressive accomplishment, right, for someone who's been working full-time with a family and all that. And I think that just shows how dedicated, Sherry, you were to the work, you know, all along with the kids. So I also, of course, asked Sherry's colleagues at Wentworth to share some thoughts about her work. And some of the things that people shared with me is Sherry is wonderful with children, creates a supportive and encouraging environment where students feel valued, safe, and inspired to succeed. Her patience, warmth, and genuine care for others have made her an incredible asset to the district. She goes above and beyond in everything she does, has an unmatched work ethic and a deep commitment to helping students and colleagues thrive. And beyond her professional contributions, Sherry is simply a great human being, thoughtful, dependable, and someone who brings positivity wherever she goes. We're all going to miss Sherry a lot, but we're excited for her to enjoy the next chapter of her life with her growing family. And we thank you for your many years of service in Scarborough Schools. So, Sherry Bell.
Excellent. And next up is Principal Jillian Daigle to recognize Beth Conceition, who has been with Scarborough Public Schools for 18 years.
Yes, I'm here to talk about Beth. She's not here tonight, but Beth started as a building ed tech and now works currently as an academic support ed tech in our building. Beth has had all three of her sons come to Blue Point School, so we were really excited when she moved from Wentworth over to our school as a building ed tech. We have relied on her to fill many different roles from day to day prior to her becoming the academic support ed tech a few years ago. Beth has helped support numerous children over the course of her career, helping making them up their academic milestones in both reading and math, and reaching benchmarks that were once thought unattainable. She has a calm demeanor, and her consistent composure has made her an extremely reliable asset to our school. The kids lovingly call her Miss C, and no one can manage a lunchroom quite like she can. She will certainly be missed by staff and students alike. Beth's retirement plans include spending time with her adorable granddaughter, her three sons, as well as her parents who have recently moved back to Maine. Beth also enjoys being outside hiking, biking, and going to the beach, gardening, and reading. And now she'll be able to spin and work out whatever time she likes. We will miss her very much.
All right, next on our list is our Adult Education Director, Mary Ann Doyle, who is retiring after 6 years of service in Scarborough. And Ray is going to speak about Mary Ann.
Yes, I've had the privilege to work with Marianne the last 2 years. She's not here tonight. She's at work. Marianne has done an amazing job of adding enrichment classes for our adult learners. But her biggest impact is she's done a great job adjusting her program to fill the needs of the community, where she drastically expanded our programs for our English language learners and our entry-level healthcare programs. And then as those students learned more, she then expanded the programs more to further meet their needs as they were progressing through. So that's really the legacy that sticks with me the most, of how she expanded that for us here in Scarborough. Moving forward, she is looking forward to spending time with her family, including her grandchildren, traveling, and hoping to get her boat in the water a little more often.
Next up, we have Principal Kelly Crosby to speak about Cindy Fasulo, who's with us this evening, who retired after 27 years of service at Scarborough.
It is my honor to talk about Cindy. For 27 years, Mrs. Fasulo has been warmly regarded by the Wentworth school community as Nurse Cindy. Mrs. Fasulo has been a licensed practical nurse since 1980. She earned that certification at Southern Maine Community College, and she worked at Maine Medical Center for almost 20 years before becoming a school nurse in the Scarborough Public Schools. Though she has covered and supported the clinics at, I think, all of the phase levels we've determined, the Wentworth Clinic has been her home base since she began in 1999. Throughout her years in our school community, she's been a steady and compassionate presence in the clinic, offering care, comfort, and reassurance to every student and adults who walk through her door. Whether tending to the everyday needs, bumps and bruises on the playground, or responding in moments of urgency, she brought both expertise and kindness to every single interaction. Beyond the walls of her clinic, her impact has reached far and wide. As a dedicated liaison to a local charitable organization, she worked tirelessly to connect families with essential services and resources and support. Her advocacy ensured countless students and families received the care and assistance they needed, often in ways that extended far beyond the school day. I can't tell you how many times I'll just run to Target real quick and pick up those clothes that they need. Like, just the dedication is beyond measure. Her legacy is one of quiet strength, unwavering commitment, and heartfelt service. She's made our school healthier, more caring, and a more connected place for all. We're deeply grateful for her years of dedication and wish her all the best in this well-earned next chapter, which she is already currently enjoying, with friends and family, and her husband, and especially her grandchildren up to camp. So congratulations, Cindy. Super happy for you.
All right, yeah, go right ahead. So next up is Kathy Terrell, and Kathy is going to speak about some of our retirees at the middle school, beginning with Brooks Neal, who is with us this
I was so excited that Brooks came. So Brooks began her teaching career at Scarborough Middle School in the fall of 2000. Prior to joining SMS, Brooks had a variety of work experiences, including ski retail. During her time at SMS, she has taught 7th and 8th grade ELA and social studies. Brooks has a love of learning and trying out new things, two characteristics she has instilled in the hundreds of students who have been in her classroom over the years. Dedicated is the word that immediately comes to mind for those who have worked alongside Brooks. And I was fortunate enough to work on a team with Brooks. It was quite a few years ago, though. One colleague shares that she is one of the most dedicated teachers I have ever worked with. We constantly used to remind her that she cannot work harder than her students because she was so determined that they would all be successful at any cost. These sentiments are echoed by another colleague who states that, to me, she is that teacher you always hope to be remembered as. She is selfless, dedicated, and tremendously impactful. She truly believes that everyone can learn and goes above and beyond for this to happen. In addition to teaching, Brooks' other passion is being outdoors. She enjoys skiing, sailing, running, walking, hiking, and gardening. She is looking forward to being able to spend more time with these activities in retirement, in addition to traveling to someplace cool and helping out her family. True to form, Brooks also plans to continue to learn new skills and give back to her community through volunteering. Congratulations, Brooks, and enjoy your retirement. Okay, and Donna and Scott could not make it here tonight. Donna Viola joined Scarborough Middle School in 2002 after completing the ETEP program. In 2004, she earned her master's from USM. During her time at SMS, she has taught 7th grade ELA and social studies and 6th grade math and social studies. Donna's colleagues share that she was the teacher that every colleague wanted on their team. Teachers and students alike could always count on her to lend a listening ear and provide advice with the perfect balance of humor and wisdom. Donna pushed students out of their comfort zone in a positive way, encouraging them to try new things, work hard, and share their ideas with others. She modeled this disposition herself. No matter the grade level or subject, she brought enthusiasm and dedication. She was always looking to learn new things and try new ways of teaching. Outside of school, Donna enjoys pickleball, working out, traveling, and spending time with her children and her family and grandchildren. Congratulations, Donna, and enjoy your retirement. Scott Weymouth. He joined Scarborough Middle School in 2001. When he joined SMS, he had 12 years prior experience teaching in SAD 60 and SAD 6. During his time at SMS, Scott has taught all subjects, but primarily math and science to 6th and 7th graders. He also guided countless students through the challenges of middle school math while at the same time instilling valuable lessons. Scott has made an impact on students beyond the classroom. He's also, for 10 years, taught our 7th grade basketball team. Scott's colleagues share that in his classroom, he held rigorous standards, yet never lost sight of the individual learner. His classroom was a place where structure and high expectations were a given, but never at the expense of connection. In fact, he mastered something many strive for, but few truly achieve: the ability to be both firm and genuinely engaging. Outside of school, Scott enjoys playing golf with his buddies, cooking on the grill, and spending time with his family. In retirement, he shares that he'll play a little more golf, travel, and probably get a part-time job. His wife may not want him hanging around the house all day. Congratulations, Scott, and enjoy your retirement.
Right, next up is Principal Nate Terrio from the high school, and he's going to kick us off with some conversation about Steve Banks, who's retiring with 25 years of service.
Mr. Banks wasn't able to be here tonight, but I'm happy to recognize him. So Steve Banks joined the high school in 2001 and had served there for 25 years as a math teacher. Mr. Banks was instrumental in the launching of our accounting and personal finance programs in the early 2000s, which is something he cited as one of his proudest accomplishments. And he also has been working for a number of years as an adjunct professor at SMCC. And he said one of his great joys is when he runs into Scarborough High School graduates there and helps them move them a little bit further along in their educational journey. He is planning on spending a ton of time at camp and also traveling in retirement.
Next up is John McHugh with 17 years of service.
So John McHugh started at the high school in 2009, first as a business and computer applications teacher primarily, and then shifting into, and over the last couple of years, a tech coach role. He cited he will miss the colleagues and relationships. If you know John, he's a pretty quiet guy, but he forms deep connections with people that he comes across. And I think there was a lot of things when I talked to him. I said, what are you going to miss? What are your proudest accomplishments? And after a long pause, he said, I think I'm going to miss my colleagues, which I'm guessing is why he was at yesterday's ceremony and not here today. But at any rate, he is also looking forward to spending a lot of time at camp, spending some time with some new grandchildren, and traveling as well.
David O'Connor with 32 years of service.
So David O'Connor started at Scarborough High School in 1994. He has held many different roles and titles. He has taught out of the science department. He has taught out of the math department. He's been department chair in both of those departments. His fingerprints are everywhere at Scarborough High School. He's a very quiet, humble man, but he is extremely influential at Scarborough High School. When I asked David, I said, what's your most memorable accomplishment? He too thought for a moment. And I think he said, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. So I went off, I talked to a few people. I think one of the things that comes across clear when you think about David, and I think it's evident in the conversations that you have with others about him, is that he consistently sets a high bar for himself. And he sets that same high bar for his kids and for his colleagues as well. I know I, for one, will miss his counsel and his wisdom. He would always give it to you straight if you had a question or you were struggling with a decision. You could ask David, and David would tell you exactly what he thought, and usually he was right. I think, he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed. I'll say that. He's really looking forward to fly fishing and golf. I think he's retiring a little bit before some of the other members of the family, so he's looking forward to some solitude, fly fishing, and some golf.
Also from the high school, Rich Wesley, who's retiring after 11 years of service in Scarborough.
So Mr. Wesley couldn't be here tonight, but yes, he has been at Scarborough High School for 11 years. He started in 2015. He has been an English teacher for all of those years. I think Mr. Wesley has left his lasting legacy. In addition to promoting, his love of literature in the classroom, he's also been firmly committed to promotion of arts and theater in Scarborough. He has been instrumental in the success of the Shakespeare in the Park program. And at the high school, I know we will miss his annual call to go to Shakespeare or to partake in Shakespeare. He has this famous call on the intercom, lasts about 2 weeks. It goes, Shakespeare in the Park. He is looking forward to tons of travel in his retirement. I know he's very excited to get around the world, and I think is looking to start that as soon as this summer.
And isn't Shakespeare in the Park on Saturday?
It's coming right up. They just went down to the middle school, I think, to do a little number with, I think the 7th graders or 8th graders are reading Midsummer Night's Dream, I believe, which is a production this year.
And then wrapping up the high school, David Yo, who is retiring with 10 years of service.
So Mr. Yo is here tonight. And like Diane said, he has been been in Scarborough for 10 years, been an educator for over 40 years. His start date in Scarborough was in 2016. He has served during his time in Scarborough as the safety and attendance officer at the high school. He meets students every morning who are late to school, which sounds like an interesting line of work. There's a lot of thorny conversations you can have, but Mr. Yo does a wonderful job, I think, of greeting students who may or may not have broken a rule, maybe issuing a detention or two, but then sending them on their way and still making sure they have a good day when they come into school. He's a fixture in the cafeteria, the halls. He was once called the most intimidating administrator at Scarborough, even though he is neither intimidating nor an administrator. But that's the perception of Mr. Yo. But I think the kids that get to know him really understand that he's a man who cares deeply about them and their well-being. And he's a great conversation. When I asked Dave about what his most memorable accomplishments or moments were in the district, took him a few minutes, but he thought about it and said, I think helping the school and helping the school community get through COVID. Our admin support team at the high school was really instrumental in making sure that we made the best of that experience, and that he was one of the folks laying down street signs in the hallways and one-way roads, and double lining the halls, yellow lining the halls, so that everybody knew where you could park and all that stuff. But I think that those 2 years, as all of us know, were incredibly challenging, and we would not have survived that school without the support from Mr. Yo and other members of our admin support team. For his retirement plans, we talked about this the other day, Mr. Yo. Dave says, I've been living the dream since I started in Scarborough, and retirement will be no different.
And rounding us up for this evening will be Kate Bolton. And Kate's going to start off by talking about Joe Wright from the middle school, who was with us for 19 years.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Joe, because I looked at it and said, if we call him Joseph, he's going to think he's in trouble. Joe Wright, I've had the pleasure of knowing Joe Wright for all of those 19 years. He's retired from his kitchen manager position at the middle school. Joe came to us in school nutrition in 2007 with a great resume. He was both a kitchen manager at a senior living facility and the owner chef of a seasonal restaurant on Peaks Island, where he currently lives and has forever. Right from the start, we knew he was a great catch. He was hired as a cook at the high school, but his management skills soon led him to a supervisory position in that kitchen, and then in 2016 to his position as kitchen manager at the middle school. As a former Coast Guard officer, Joe was totally at home on a boat, which was a good thing because he took the ferry daily for 19 years in all kinds of weather just to hang out with us. Joe was the eye of the hurricane in the kitchen. He was calm and quiet and kind and competent, and he had a great sense of humor. He was a steady, consistent presence in an often chaotic environment, and he inspired fierce loyalty in his crew. His passion for both the quality of the food they produced and the happiness of his customers never wavered. My personal relationship with Joe was centered on our shared love of Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes, everybody. A band from New Jersey, the Jersey Shore. We had both followed from our teenage years. It's like Springsteen, but without the name recognition. And that was Joe's superpower. He could make a connection with anyone. He could find that little thing that you shared and make you a friend. Joe's retirement plans. Well, Joe actually retired back in January due to health reasons. So he's not here with us this evening. But we really hope that he's taking it easy. He's chilling on the island. He's playing rock and roll as loud as he wants to, and he's enjoying some much deserved downtime.
And finally, certainly last but not least, Bill Penley, who is retiring with 13 years of service to Scarborough.
Yeah, there's Bill. I'm gonna have a hard time with this one. Bill is retiring for the second time. He's given us the joy of his presence after already retiring once, and we've been so lucky. When Bill arrived in the district in 2013, the position he holds in our district was brand new. Our department had just been approved for a part-time bookkeeper position to help manage the student activity accounts, which are the bank accounts that are kept at each school for sports and clubs and boosters and class activities. I had already met Bill as the husband of the legendary Patty Penley, a longtime Blue Point teacher who was in this room just a few years ago listening to her own retiree speech. Bill had taken early retirement from the U.S. Postal Service, but anyone who knows Bill also knows that he is not a sit-around kind of guy. He applied for this new position and set about inventing the protocols and procedures and oversight that have kept us in good standing with our auditors ever since. Bill is a sociable guy. His approach to work is super organized and detail-oriented, but he never misses the personal touch. He's always friendly, outgoing, and cheerful. Bill likes to get things right, and he runs a tight ship, but always with the goal of creating the best possible outcomes for the district and our students. If I had a nickel for every time Bill scoured the town for a higher interest rate, harassing bank managers for another 0.5 percentage point, I would have been able to buy him a bigger retirement gift. Over the years, Bill's colleagues have been privileged to share regular updates on his amazing grandkids and the progress of renovations to his dream house on the lake. His connections in Scarborough are everywhere, not just through his work for the school department, but as a parent of 3 Scarborough grads and as an election official since 2012. I think he retired from that too. As far as retirement plans are concerned, I would love to be able to say that Bill will spend his second retirement just sitting on his new dock with a fishing pole, but I've already heard about a long list of chores and projects that he intends to complete, not to mention his gracious offer to be available for questions we may have as we learn to live without him. We really hope that he remembers to take some time for himself, to hunt and fish and build memories with his family up to camp. Thank you, Bill, and congratulations.
And before we move on, just all told, the folks that you've just heard us speaking about represent 334 years of service to the district. And so, again, you hear me say this really often. We are really fortunate to be able to retain the staff that we have. And so thank you to all of you for your service to the community.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Right, congratulations. This is an interesting year. I have my election warden when I was first elected as a school board member 6 years ago. One of my most favorite memories involves you when you were calling the numbers and I had my husband on speakerphone so that he could hear. He was home with my son. And when you announced my number and it was clear that I had won, he screamed really loudly and you stopped mid-sentence and looked around to see who was screaming. And it was my husband from the phone. So I have that. And then I have 3 of my son's teachers retiring this year. And it's kind of, it's an interesting bittersweet time, right? Like as time marches on very quickly and the amount of years that we have and the amount of experience we have in this room is really, really profound. So thank you for all of you do. Thank you for showing up every day. And I hope you enjoy your retirement so very much. All right. We will continue on. Agenda item 6.0 is general public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make general public comment this evening? Is there anyone online? So nobody in Melissa. No attendees. Okay. All right. Are you making your way to make public comment? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so if you, each citizen is limited to 3 minutes for public comment. The lights on the front of the box will guide you. I think the yellow light means you have about 30 seconds left or 15 seconds, and then the red means your time is up. Please direct your comments to me, and if you could just state your name and then we'll get started.
Sure. My name is Michelle Cesare, and I am a special education teacher with Scarborough Schools and an SEA representative. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I appreciate all the hard work from both the school board and the town council to increase the budget proposal from its original number. As a special educator of almost 30 years, I truly love my job, and I'm honored to work alongside an incredible team of educators, education technicians, and support staff in our schools every day. The dedication, compassion, and resilience I see from my colleagues is remarkable. Our students are the reason we show up to work every day. It is because we care so deeply that I share some concerns. I cannot stress enough the importance of proper staffing and training. Education technicians are on the front line of every day supporting students with academic needs, behavioral challenges, emotional regulation difficulties, communication barriers, and disabilities that require individualized care, patience, and consistency. They build relationships, de-escalate crises, and help students succeed in environments that are often unpredictable and demanding. These same colleagues, along with myself and other teachers, have been injured while trying to support students during behavioral incidents. Staff members have been hit, punched, kicked, bitten, scratched, spit on, exposed to daily bodily fluids, and hurt while simply doing their jobs and helping students safely navigate difficult moments. Regardless of this, these staff members continue to show up for their students because they love the job and they want to see their students succeed. I think that was evident last night at town council when you, Ms. Lindstrom, spoke to special education being 3rd out of 11 in the surrounding districts. However, this is not sustainable. This, I also want to be clear about, is not about blaming students. The children we love to work with need support, services, structure, and compassion, but compassion without resources is not a plan. Educational technicians need meaningful training in de-escalation, behavioral intervention, crisis response, and trauma-informed practices, but effective training requires time, staffing, and funding. Schools cannot provide adequate preparation if departments are understaffed, employees are stretched thin, and substitutes are unavailable to cover assignments. From what I've witnessed in our schools, staff are already being asked to do more with fewer resources and less support. We cannot continue to ask staff to absorb the physical and emotional impact of these incidents while expecting safer outcomes without proper investment and support. If we truly value this, education and safety must be a priority. Too often, education technicians are placed into challenging situations without adequate preparation or support, which leads to high turnover rates. We need proper staffing levels so employees are not isolated during incidents, ongoing professional development that prepares staff for increasingly complex student needs, and systems that protect both students and employees while preserving every child's right to learn in a safe environment. These systems lead to retention of employees, consistency and cohesiveness of staff, and better support for our students and families. These issues affect everyone: the students with behavioral needs who deserve proper support, the students whose education is interrupted day after day, the parents who deserve a dedicated and consistent staff member to communicate with in regard to their own students' needs, the education technician injured while trying to help a student, and teachers trying to maintain a classroom during repeated disruptions. As someone who deeply values this work and the people doing it, I'm asking you to recognize the seriousness of what staff and students are facing every day and to reconsider priorities so that safety, training, staffing, and student support are treated as necessities and not optional expenses. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Crystal Ash Cuthbert. I've taught here in Scarborough for more than 23 years. I'm also proud to serve as the Scarborough Education President. For several years now, my colleagues across the district have been sharing challenges that they face with increasing number of students with significant dysregulation and behavior issues. These educators believe that every child can learn and grow. They know that all students can be successful in the right environment with the right support. Recently, the association held a meeting at 8 Corners to gather information and offer support to our colleagues. I'd like to share with you some of the statements they made when asked what their thoughts were about special ed here in Scarborough. These are some comments they made. Every year, the students' needs are greater and greater, but there are not enough staff to meet their needs. Different administrator, different answer. Several high-need students are clustered into one classroom as a group. They often derail the learning of their regular ed peers. We'll try to get that into the budget next year, is heard every single year. Overwhelmed, underprepared, disheartened, and confused. We're always short-staffed and scrambling to cover the needs of our students. I'm so frustrated with administration. It feels like our experience and expertise is not taken seriously, nor taken into consideration. I was placed in a social life skills class with no training whatsoever. A student bit me on the first day. We're not meeting our students' needs. When those same colleagues were asked for ideas and changes that would make working with and in special education better for both staff and students, they suggested the following: better and more consistent training, actually any training before being thrown into a classroom, not on the fly. Improve kindergarten screening and or make class placements more equitable according to needs. Special ed staff should use curriculum meetings for training. More training in the first few days of school, less pep rally. Actually have special education meetings, not just put them on the calendar and cancel them. And finally, increase ed tech pay. The individuals that attended this meeting are exceptionally talented educators who I admire very much. They're dedicated to their students, but they are burning out. The way special education is done here in Scarborough is causing mental and physical harm to staff and many students. The decisions that are being made need the input and support of professionals that are implementing the decisions. We ask the board to support its educators, making a district-wide goal to improve the implementation and appropriateness of special ed, not only for the students who receive it, but for all of our students and staff. Thank you for your listening and your anticipated consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to make general public comment this evening? All right, hearing none, we will move on to agenda item 7.0, which is new business. 7.1, just make sure. Okay, 7.1 is the first reading of policy CF, school building administration. Kayla? Sorry, I cut you off guard.
All right, so this is the first reading of CF, the school building administration. This is the about sort of how the superintendent and the building principal administers day-to-day work at the school. I'm talking about the responsibility, and so the purpose and responsibility, planning of supervisors. It conveys authority for principals to suspend students for a maximum of 10 days, which is statutory, and then outlines 1 through 9 duties and responsibilities of the principal. This policy had last been updated in 2015, so it was time to look at it again. But other than that, it's for your consideration today, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy CF, school building administration as presented?
So moved.
I know without our normal, it's hard. All right,
I'll second.
thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 7.2 is the first reading of policy EBAA, chemical hazards.
I was so excited to look at this policy. It was not as exciting once I got a chance to look at it. It just sounded cool. This policy ensures that we comply with OSHA. So
Very riveting reading.
it is riveting, but because despite the fact that it might be unusual, there are chemical hazards at the school. There are certain cleaning materials, but also science materials that considered are made up of hazardous chemicals. And so it is required that the superintendent ensure safe handling and storage of those chemicals. There's also a designation of a chemical hygiene officer, which I was fascinated by, to ensure that all staff is trained to report any problems with chemical hazards and what to do if there's an issue with them, and ensures proper purchase, labeling, storage, training, and handling and disposal. Happy to answer any questions. I can't do any of the chemistry part, but the policy part, this policy is largely governed by statute. Having the OSHA policies and also just safe handling and chemical policies. But there you have it. We have last looked at it in 2002, so it's time. And there you go.
All right, are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy EBAA chemical hazards as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you. I'm going to bundle the next two. It's the 7.3 and 7.4. It's the first reading of policy JLCE, first aid and emergency care, and the first reading of policy JLCER, first aid administration procedure.
So in looking at this policy, I think we discovered some duplicate policies in our policy repertoire. And so if this goes forward to first reading and passes through second reading, we will move to replace EBBB, which has to do with accident reports and the regulations for accident reports, because we have rolled everything substantive of accident reports into JLCE, which is first aid and emergency medical care. So this policy, again, the first is the policy, which just requires Maine School Health Manual is defined. That is a publication that's put out. It defines first aid for immediate and temporary care in the event of an accident or injury before medical care can be obtained. So it's what happens at the schools before a student seeks more intense medical treatment. And it just requires the superintendent or their designee establish and implement procedures for dealing with accidents and injuries, just to ensure there's a plan of action if something happens on the playground or elsewhere in the building, to ensure staff and students are cared for properly. There's no confusion about who or how responses are made. And then everything's based on the Maine School Health Manual, so there's not a lot of choice in these things. But it just ensures that if something happens, there's not a wasted time figuring out who's responsible for what part of the response. I'm moving to the response. So most of our policies have policy, and then the R, anytime it has a -R, that's the procedures that go with it. And so this is the first aid administrative procedure. And it really just indicates what would happen in the event of an emergency. And so first of all, the building principal will be notified immediately of any non-routine injury. So the building principal is not needed if there's a scraped knee. But if there is an exposed kneecap, then the building principal needs to be notified immediately. The report is given in writing. A copy is sent to the superintendent, just so we have a record of any sort of injuries that happen in the school. If a student needs to be sent home, there needs to be a plan of action to contact the parent or guardian to ensure that the child is transferred into the care of the appropriate or safe adult. And then if there is medical intervention needed, ideally the parent or guardian seeks that medical treatment, but in the event that that person can't be reached, there's a process outlined. The school nurse is notified, assesses the situation. The parent or guardian is promptly contacted. Again, the desire is for the guardian and parent to take over as soon as practical in that situation. If no one is available, the school nurse will make an assessment and try to continue the contact of the parent, render the appropriate level of care, and can include making sure the student is transported to the hospital if that's appropriate. But again, the parent is responsible for any Ps for medical treatment if that happens. But again, this is not an attempt or desire to put the school in the place of the parents. This is really, the parent is supposed to take care of their child in the case of emergency. Only if they cannot be contacted would the school make any assessment or transport a decision about medical treatment for a child. This is the first time this is adopted, so this is not a policy we've had previously, but it combines the policy, the procedure part of it, the original policy I think we did. There's a reference to the Maine School Health Manual and included in the policy, and I'm happy to take questions.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy JLCE, first aid and emergency medical care, and the first reading of policy JLCER, first aid administration procedure? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 7.5 is the first reading of policy KB, parent involvement in education.
This is another instance where we have some duplication in policies. So we are putting forward KB for first reading today. If KB moves through second reading and is adopted by the board, we will move to replace and retire policy KBA, which is relations with parents. Everything from that policy would be rolled into this policy. We're just trying to keep the policies as efficient as possible. In this case, it really talks about parent involvement in education, and it starts with a recognition statement that a student's education is a shared responsibility by the school, the student, and the family. And research indicates the involvement of parents in the support of a children's education increases student achievement. Really looking to parents as partners with the school to ensure the best educational experience for their student, and really partnering in making sure that students achieve the best education. The school will do its part in everything it can, but we really need to make sure parents are working with us in order to have best results for students. It is in the intent of the board to promote parent involvement to support meaningful two-way communication, promote responsible parenting, encourage parents to play an integral role, assist parents in their efforts to support, reinforce, and extend their children's learning. I'm not going to read the rest of the policy. It goes through and outlines a number of different steps that the board believes is appropriate for parents to consider when thinking about partnering with us in their children's education. And then, again, this is would supplant policy KBA. Happy to take any questions.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the first reading of policy KB, parent involvement in education? So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'm just noticing that in letter N, it looks like we have part of a sentence. But when we go on to the next page, we have another letter, so I'm not sure. We can go back and look at our drafts.
I think we should do that because when I read the first line, I had a question about the wording that was different than my memory, which is not, I don't rely on my memory, but I do rely on my notes, which I have in front of me.
Yeah, so I
So
think.
do we want to table, or do you want a motion to table it?
So I think we can present it. If there are
Yeah.
any changes from the draft that we presented
Anything
tonight, a
substantive.
second read-in, I'll explain what the changes are. We'll give you a red line version.
Yeah.
And really, it's just wordsmithing that very first line. We spent a lot of time talking about that first line, and I don't think realize that it made it in that format. So we can still talk about it, and we'll present the second draft. If it's different, I will outline the differences, and we'll make them visually obvious to everyone here, so you can see what we did.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. 7.6 is the first reading of policy FF, naming facilities policy.
This is super exciting. This is the policy. This is actually one of the most exciting moments. This is the first policy I worked on the first day that I entered my first policy meeting, which is the first committee that I chaired. So this is the naming facilities policy. This has to do with what happens if an individual or group wishes to name a building or space that are in our schools. The problem with naming our facilities is that none of the buildings or spaces belong to the school district. They belong to the town. And so there's a shared responsibility for this space. So ultimately, we worked with the town in different iterations of their ordinance, not ordinance committee, but their policy committee, to get to a place where we could come to an agreement on a policy that would be acceptable to both bodies. And so what we put forward today is a policy so that if a building or location that's associated with the school wishes to be named by somebody, there's criteria and a policy to follow in order to do that in a responsible manner. The issue with naming is that there are a lot of people, as we heard earlier today, there's a lot of people that have had intense and important impacts on our schools. And there always will be people who do that. We have a very finite amount of space and buildings. And so when we do convey a name, it's important that it's something that is extraordinary in a field of incredible individuals that make up our school district. So there's specific criteria. The town council specified that they wanted at least two of the criteria met. And that has to do that the name is locally significant, that it preserves or honors history. It recognizes local landmarks or geographic locations in proximity to the school. The name honors a person who has made an outstanding contribution to teaching and learning or who has given distinguished service to Scarborough Public Schools. The proposed name is related to a person who has made a significant contribution at the local, state, or national or global level. And or the proposed name recognizes a significant contribution to Scarborough or Scarborough Public Schools. And includes pretty much any space that could be related to the school. That's buildings, auditoriums, gymnasiums, fields, classrooms, and similar spaces. And they have to follow the policy in FFR, which outlines how that it gets made. I don't see FFR on the agenda, and so that is TBD. But that is the idea is to have a specific committee named with specific individuals who will assess the criteria and then make a recommendation to this board that would adopt it, would accept it and forward it to the town council for consideration, or would reject it. And then the town council could still move forward even if we decided not to move forward. But there was an indication that they would take any recommendation of this board very seriously. If we get a policy and procedure passed, I would urge this board to consider moving the town council to in some way adopt some reference to this policy, so that if and when this comes up, that they know about this policy, because they do not know our policies. And there's some way that they, have to look at it. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to bind what their, how they move forward, but forcing them to recognize that this is a policy will help in the future. And you probably will have spaces to name coming up.
Just taking a look to see if all right, are there any questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy FF naming facilities policy?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I will just say that I very foolishly sat in Mike Legage's office 3 years ago and promised him we would do this in 6 months. And that was when Freyla came on board. And here we are at the end of Freyla's term, and we finally are doing this. And so I'm so glad you're here to have this event. This is super exciting for all of us that we are here. So it might have taken a little longer than 6 months, but I am a woman of my word, so here we are. All right, all in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, the 7.7 is the appointment of the Wentworth School social worker.
Yes, Mary McMillan is being nominated to fill this position due to a resignation. Ms. McMillan earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from St. Anselm's College and her Master of Social Work from the University of New England. She has worked in the Boston area as an outreach coordinator and an educational counselor. And in Maine, she's worked at Maine Health, Peer and Resilience Program as a program intern, and currently as a mental health clinician at Acorn and Oak in Kennebunk. Respectfully ask you to approve her nomination.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the Wentworth School social worker as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 7.8 is first year continuing contract professionals.
Yes, in your packet, you'll also see the names of 2 staff members. The first person is moving from first year to second year probationary contract, and the second individual is moving to a continuing contract.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve the first year continuing contract professionals as presented?
Sorry.
Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.0 is adjournment. With no objections, we will adjourn at 8:05 p.m. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.